Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Steph and today I'm filming a video about all of the books that I have read in the last month. So it is currently June. I think it's June 8th today. But these are the books that I have read in May, and some of them I have read in the ending of April as well. So basically the books I have read in the last 2 months, I would say. I'm super excited to talk about all of these books. I believe I have 6 books in total and one that I am, well, 2 that I'm currently reading. So yeah, I'm super excited to get into it. I'm going to tell you like basically a little bit of a synopsis on the books and what I rate them, and yeah, let's get right into the video. So recently I've been getting back into reading, and the last few, I would say last week I was reading a book like every day, like finishing a book, starting a book in the evening and finishing it the next morning or whatnot like that. So basically reading a book in 24 hours. So yeah, the first book I'm gonna try and go in order if I can remember of the books that I started reading first. So, the very first book that I read was After We Fell by Anna Todd, and this is the After series. I actually just got the first 2 books, and if you watched my last video, then you know that I watched the first 2 movies, and I'm a person that if I watch the movie first, it's really hard for me to get into the book once I already know, basically. I know that the books are different, but once I basically know the storyline from the movie, it's hard to read. But this series I loved so much. It's one of my favorite series. So I decided that I'm going to order the first 2 books so I have them in my collection and I'm going to read them. So I just ordered the After book. I haven't gotten the After We Collided yet because I can't find it without the movie cover, and all of the books that I have in the series are with the original cover, so I would like to keep After We Collided as the original cover as well so they all match. This is the chunkiest one in the collection. This is the 3rd book. If you don't know their complete story, basically, I'm not very good at explaining it, so I think you should just look it up. But it's about this girl named Tessa, and she's kind of, you know, a goody-good, and then she meets this boy named Hardin at a party in college, and basically it's a love story, so you know exactly, you know, they start falling for each other, but there is a twist at the end. And this just kind of follows their love story, so I don't want to give what is in this book, because if you haven't read the first one, then you're gonna be like, what? It would be kind of a spoiler. So this is the 3rd book in the series, After We Fell. This book is like 837 pages. So it is a chunky book. Like, I consider this like 2 or 3 books, to be honest. And this book, oh my gosh, I think I read this book in like 3 days. Like I said, it's a big book, and I just keep seeing these little fuzzies falling in front of me. Sorry if you see my eyes going everywhere, but yeah, amazing series, my favorite. So after I read this one, I bought this one at Indigo, and my nearest Indigo, unfortunately, is like an hour and a half away from here, so I wasn't able to get the next couple books. I got this one, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to wait and finish this one first because it is a chunky book, and then I'll order the next 2 on Amazon. So I did do that, but while I was waiting for those books to come, I read another book. So the next book I read was called Fat Chance Charlie Vega. This book is a beautiful, beautiful cover on it. This would basically draw me towards the book, and it's about a plus size girl, and being plus size myself, I was really intrigued to read this because there's not a lot of books that talk about plus size characters, you know, or have a plus size character as the lead in the book, you know, the main character. So basically it follows this girl named Charlie, and her best friend is really thin, and she's just struggling with her appearance and loving herself. Basically, her mom seems like she has good intentions, but at the same time her mom kind of makes like remarks towards her best friend saying like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful, you know, that clothes look so good on you, you're so thin. And Charlie's like, you know, I'll never fit in that kind of clothes. And she really likes this guy at school, but he's kind of a jerk to her. And I don't want to spoil exactly what happens there, but she kind of meets this guy at work, and he like is so nice to her, and she's like struggling because she doesn't know if he really likes her, because she kind of has this feeling like, why would anybody like me, sort of thing. And so she kind of is trying to accept herself, as being a plus size girl, and at the same time try and fall in love for the first time, and it basically follows a high school romance. So I really loved this one. I will say this is my least favorite book out of the 6 I'm going to show you that I've completed. So yeah, but it was still a beautiful story, and I would recommend it. It wasn't my favorite out of all of the ones I've read this last 2 months. So after I read that one, I then read After Ever Happy, which is the 4th one. So I read that one. And while I was waiting for this book to come, I read the Fat Chance Charlie Vega one. So this is the 4th one in the series. Like I said, you can look it up online. This one was a lot thinner than the last one, but it was like 500 pages. I loved it, hands down. And then after that one there, I read the 5th book in that series, which is Before by Anna Todd. And basically, this one is like, this is when the story ends. Like, this is when you see the end of Tessa and Hardin, the 2 main characters. And then this one is sort of a retelling, but in Hardin's perspective. I feel like a lot of authors are doing that nowadays. I've seen one of the ones that's coming to mind is Stephenie Meyer's Twilight series. So she has another book out called Midnight Sun, but it's in Edward's perspective instead of Bella's. So that, I haven't read that one, but this is the vibe I get from it. So this is the same thing. It is the retelling of the first book, but in Hardin's perspective, and also continuation of a little bit after that as well, but mostly deals with that. And you also get to see behind the scenes of some of the other characters, which I really liked. Like there's some other lead roles like Steph and some of the girls that Hardin didn't treat so nice before he met Tessa. I want to talk about a couple things that before I get to the other books that I read. I'm really excited to read the upcoming ones. I can't remember the names of them, but they're Landon's stories. So the Tessa's best friend, or Hardin's brother in these books, is Landon, and there is a continuation of the series, but Landon's life and what goes on with Landon, because he is one of the main characters in the series. So yeah, I'm really excited to get to read those. Those are definitely on my TBR list. After I read that, I read this book, which is called Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. This book made me cry. I'm just gonna say, this author, Colleen Hoover, I have heard nothing but great things about. This is the very first book I have read by her, and I absolutely loved it. It's a romance novel. Like I said, I only read romance. It's just the genre I prefer. This follows a girl named Tate and a boy named Miles, and basically it's like a flip back and forth between time, which is something I don't like a whole lot, but I did really like it in this book, so it kind of changed my perspective on that. But I'm not a big fan of like movies and books that flip back and forth and you're kind of like, what's going on? But it gives you the information you need, like, you know, when it's going back in time and when it's present day. So basically it's about this boy named Miles and this girl named Tate, and Tate meets Miles because he is a pilot who lives next door to her brother, and she actually moves in with her brother for a little while. So that's how she meets him one day, and from the moment she met him, she really, really liked him. But he's been heartbroken in the past, and he is having a hard time saying he loves her and wanting a relationship. He just wants a friends with benefits relationship. But Tate does not want that, and in the beginning she believes that she really wants that, but she realizes that she wants more from the relationship than that. And when you go back 6-year time jump, so every other chapter is back from 6 years ago when he was in high school and he was with this girl named Rachel, and I'm not going to give away any of the plot, but basically it just shows you what happened in the relationship with Rachel and the reason why he's having a hard time with Tate and wanting to be in a relationship. But basically Miles has 2 rules: never ask about my past and don't expect a future. So yeah, it was a beautiful novel. I definitely recommend it. I'm definitely going to be reading more by Colleen Hoover. I have so many of her books on my TBR list. It Ends With Us and November 9 are two that I really, really want to read by Colleen Hoover. I do not own them, but I'm really excited to read more by her because this definitely made me cry, and I 100% would recommend this book. The next book that I read, this book here, when I tell you I bawled my eyes out reading this, the girls in my book club group chat know, because I sent them a video, and if I feel like it, I might post it, a little clip in here. I'm not too sure yet, but
oh, if you want a book that's gonna make you cry, this is it.
It was like a very vulnerable, sad moment for me reading this novel. I've never read a book that made me cry like this, and that is A Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. This book was so eye-opening, such a beautiful book. I'll give you like a brief synopsis because I don't want to spoil the main issue in this book. But basically it's about this girl. Her name is Poppy, and Poppy meets this boy named Rune, who transferred to Georgia, I believe, the town of Georgia, from Norway. And her and Rune meet when they're 5 years old, so it goes from like kids to teen, so it is a teen romance, which I was kind of worried about because I like to read a little bit more of like a college-y or like more adult stuff, but this one was such a beautiful book. So yeah, they meet when they're 5 years old, and they she's in love with him slowly until they are 15, and they just love each other so much, and everybody sees it around them that they're just so in love. And then Rune's dad gets a job that he needs to go back to Norway for, and Rune doesn't want to go because he's so in love with Poppy, and he doesn't want to leave her and have a long distance relationship, but he has no other choice because he's 15 years old and he has to move. So they decide to stay keeping in touch, but they don't know how long Rune's going to be gone for. He could be gone for, they said, up to 6 months to 3 years. Well, it ends up being 3 years, and in the first year they do keep in contact, but eventually Poppy cuts off all contact with Rune, and Rune keeps trying to call her and nothing is happening. Basically he has no idea why she didn't call him, why she didn't answer, and he's really sad about it. But then eventually 3 years later he comes back and finds out why she stopped keeping in contact with him, and they kind of realize, you know, there's more to it, and I don't want to explain anymore because I don't want to ruin it, but they rekindle their romance, and it's a beautiful love story. I 100% recommend this book. This is my favorite book out of all the books I've shown you. I loved this so much. Definitely a 5-star read. 100% would recommend this book. Made me bawl my eyes out, like literally had tears pouring down my face. And at numerous times in the book, not just the ending or certain parts, like it was so heartwarming and made you appreciate life so much more. If I could recommend any book for you to read, if you could only read one book from what I'm showing you, it's this book right here. Another book that I am currently reading for our book club is called Matched. I'm going to say that I'm having a really hard time reading this book. It's interesting at some points, and then other points it's like, you know, it's hard for me to get into. I want to read it because we're reading it for our book club, and I did order the whole series at once, so it's Mapped, Crossed, and Reached. So I definitely am going to read it, but I'm just struggling. I'm on chapter 10 right now, and at some points it's so interesting. And other points it's like, you know, it kind of dies off, it comes back. It reminds me of the Hunger Games. Hunger Games meets Divergent. So basically they're in like different groups, like sort of like factions. And like I said, I'm only to chapter 10, so I'm only 105 pages in, but they live in certain towns and stuff, and it's called Match. So they, at a certain age, can't remember exactly, they get matched with somebody across the entire, you know, population. And the girl that's the main character, she gets matched with her best friend. So she gets to know her match, but other people don't. And basically when she does get matched, I feel like I'm doing a terrible job explaining this, but basically when she does get matched, another person's face pops up on the screen. And so now she's like, do I like that guy? Do I like this guy? I don't really know where it's going to go just yet, but I'm really excited to try and get to read this because it seems really interesting, and the synopsis on the back is so interesting to me. Like, it's really intriguing, but it's just really hard to keep going with it. So yeah, that is the book I'm reading for my book club. The book I am currently reading is called Serenading Heartbreak. I always read the book club book with another book because we only read so much, and well, I think now we're going to read to the end of the book, but we were only reading so much, and then we were stopping and waiting for everybody to join together. So in the meantime, I was reading another book because I like to read a lot. So I like to have a side book, so when I'm not able to read that one, I can read this one. So this one's called Serenading Heartbreak, and this is about a girl. I'm only 20 pages in, but it's so interesting so far. I'm super excited to continue reading this. It's by Ella Fields, and it's about... Okay, so this book is about a girl who likes this guy who is her brother's best friend. And he's kind of like a mean... He's a jerk to her, and she really likes him, and she feels like this connection between him, and then it shows that she goes on to school, I believe, and she meets this other guy who is a baseball player. And then at one point, she kind of has to decide between the two of them. So it's like a love triangle. Yeah, I don't know fully about it. Like I said, I'm only in 20 pages in, but I'm really excited to continue reading this one. Yeah, so that is all of the books I've read. I thought I would tell you about some books I am really excited to read this June and the next coming months, which are some of the books from the haul that I just had. The next book I'm definitely reading is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I'm super excited to read this book. I got it on sale at Book Outlet, and this book is highly anticipated on Book Talk and YouTube, and I'm just so excited to read this one. It is a work romance. They're both competing for the same position at a job, and just sounds so intriguing, and I'm really ready to read this one. Alrighty, for another couple books that I'm really anticipating on reading soon. Don't know if I'll do them this month, but I just grabbed them from my bookshelf. This book is called The Midnight Library, and this was one of the #1 books last month or the month before on Amazon, and it was on the best reads wall in Indigo, and I purchased it at the same time as the After We Fell book. I thought it would be a really cute little thing to tell you in here, just so I can remember it as well filming this video. But I was actually in the bookstore, and this is not a romance, and that romance is what I normally read. So I was in the bookstore, and I was looking at that After We Fell book, and this lady, this older lady, which I have no clue who she is. She was really nice though. She came up to me and she was like, "Oh, you're looking for romance books?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I think you could do better than that." And I'm like, "Sorry?" And she's like, "Yeah, I think you could do better than romance." She's like, I want you to come over here for a second if you don't mind." And I'm like, "Okay." And she's like, "This is a wall of books that are the top rated right now, and I'm going to recommend you a couple books that I really enjoyed off this wall." And she told me she had read every single book on this wall, and these were all the most popular books at the moment. And she was like, I'm gonna read you, I'm gonna tell you what I thought of 2 of the books on this wall, and the little bit of a plot line about them, and then you can tell for yourself if you'd be interested in reading them. And I'm like, okay, sure. Like I said, I didn't know this lady, so I didn't want to be rude or anything, but she was telling me about this book called The Midnight Library, and this is a very popular book. I've seen it on Book Talk, I've seen it on YouTube, and it is about this girl who commits suicide, and basically she finds this midnight library, and when she opens the books, she can be in different lives and kind of live life differently. So she gets, other chances at life. Basically that's what she told me it was about. It could be a little bit different than exactly what I got from what she said, but this book I'm really excited to read. Another book that I'm really excited to read, I got on Amazon. It's called The Upside of Falling by Alex Light, and I've seen this everywhere, and I'm super excited to read it. The reason I got this was because it sounded like To All the Boys I Loved Before, and I loved that series on Netflix. I actually own the books. But it's about this guy and this girl, and I think one of them is being like teased by their friends, like, oh, you're not in a relationship, you know, you haven't been in a relationship in a while, or you haven't ever been in a relationship. I can't remember exactly how it went. So these two decide that they're going to start fake dating. And fake dating and like brother's best friend are like two of my favorite tropes in books. But yeah, so there's a lot of fake dating in this, and then obviously it's romance. They start feeling feelings for each other. But yeah, that's all I really know about this book, but I'm really excited to read this one. It's definitely one of the ones I want to read in the next little bit. And this book has quite large font actually, and it's only 279 pages, so I feel like this is going to be an easy read. I probably could get this finished in a day. The next thing I want to read is actually a series, and they are backwards, I believe. It is the Grisha trilogy, The Shadow and Bone. If you haven't seen, this series was really, this was published quite a few years ago, but it's come really hyped up because it just became a Netflix show, and I watched it on Netflix, and I needed to see more. I needed to read more, I should say. So I ordered these books on Amazon, and currently they are on sale. I believe I got each one of these books for $10 each, which is amazing. I think they were on sale because they're super popular right now. I'm really, really excited to get into this series. If you don't know what it's about, I would suggest you kind of Googling it, because I don't want to say too much about it, because I have watched the TV show, like the first season that's on Netflix, and I'm really loving it so far, and it's kind of complex. So if you want to read up on it, basically it's about people that have powers and other people that have went off to war, and they kind of get separated at birth. They get this test done, and they get to see where they belong. So some people go to like the army, the other people become like map makers, and other people have different powers and stuff. And this one girl is kind of discovering who she is, and her and her best friend, they make a pact that they don't get tested when they were younger, so they never really found out where they were supposed to go exactly. And she finds out that she might just have some powers that she would have known when she was younger if she had found out. But yeah, I'm not going to say any more than that. If you want to watch the show or you want to read the books, I don't want to spoil it, and you can also look it up online if you want more of a description. But I'm really excited for this series, and I believe this and there's two other books that I have as a series are the only series that I own right now that I have yet to read. But I ordered this one, I ordered them all together, but these ones here were on back order on Amazon. So I got that one, and then these two just came in the mail today from Amazon, so I'm really excited to read this series. But yeah, that was everything that I have read in the last 2 months. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited to be doing some more bookish videos on YouTube. I know I'm mostly doing makeup stuff, but I'd like to branch out since books have been really become back into my life and become more of a passion for me right now. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like and comment down below, subscribe to my channel, and I hope you have a great day.